single biggest reason you're not getting the results you're looking for in your game. And it's not some new technique, it's your procedure. It's the outlook on how you're going out, how you're practicing, what you're doing. So right now I'm gonna give you my 3 top tips to get you better faster. Tip number 1, go out with a purpose, but not always. Okay, here's what I mean by that. There's really 2 approaches that guys take to learning. One is just go out and have fun, put in the time, put in the reps, and you'll just get better. That's ridiculous, okay? If you go out and you're doing bad habits, you're just practicing bad habits, ingraining bad habits, you're never gonna get over them. Also, if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, you're never gonna make any progress. And that's why you see guys stagnate for years and years, getting absolutely nowhere, okay? Yeah, they're going out, yeah, they're having fun. Yeah, maybe even they're maximizing their results with their particular skill set because they're in state, but they're not stepping up their game, they're not stepping up their abilities in any way, and they're not gonna make any progress. On the other hand, there's more the long-term approach, which is I'm gonna go out and I would be very technical and focus on this specific technique, this specific tactic, etc. The good thing about that is you actually are gonna improve. You're actually following the scientific method, you're being a little meticulous, and because you're working on a specific technique, you're gonna get better at that technique, and you will see progress over time. The problem though is a game is not a purely technical thing, right? It also has an emotional component. And so if you get too divorced from that emotional component, you start to see your results go down, even if you are doing the techniques correctly. Okay, so it's important to have that balance. So what I actually recommend is to either go out for part of the night technical and then the rest of the night having fun, or the day or whatever, or to have certain days or certain times that you designate as technical times and certain times you designate as fun and try to do it the right way and get a result kind of times. But you need to have that mix, okay? If you have all just fun and no technical, you're never gonna make any progress. If you have all technical, it's gonna be frustrating, it's gonna be very difficult, it's gonna be emotionally draining for you, and you're gonna hate the process, which will also lead to a diminishment in results, all right? So what you wanna have is that mix. What I usually recommend, say if you're gonna do a 4-hour night, is maybe the first hour go out super technical, and then the last 3 hours go just super hard, super fun, and enjoy the process, enjoy the experience. Or for example, if maybe you're gonna go out 3 days in a given week, 1 day go out technical, 2 days go out and just have fun. Tip number 2, and conveniently I've designed it so that tip number 2 will help you with tip number 1. Tip number 2 is isolate your sticking point, okay? So you're going out, you're working specifically in a technical way, but you need to highlight what is the major thing holding you back. So here's how game works. So let's say that there's maybe like 10 important skills, and maybe you're an 8 out of 10 on this one, a 7 out of 10 on this one, 10 out of 10 on this one, a 3 out of 10 on this skill right here. That's the skill that's gonna hold you back, right? So you can do everything else right. That skill where you're a 3 out of 10 is the thing that's gonna hold you back to keep you from getting a result. So you can take your 9 out of 10 skill and make it a 10 out of 10. You still have that 3 out of 10 holding your results at a 3 out of 10. If you want to work efficiently, you need to work specifically on the thing that's holding you back. So what you want to do is when you go out and when you're getting experiences, you want to say, where am I getting to consistently? Where is it falling apart? How can I analyze this and figure out what the likely root cause of these failures is? And then that's the specific space you want to be working on. A lot of guys, because it's kind of fun to work on things you're good at, spend all this time working on the areas they've already got pretty well handled. And it feels good in the moment, but they're not actually making fundamental progress on the core issues. All right, so you want to isolate your sticking point. Whenever I have students on boot camps, whenever I take students out one-on-one, one of the biggest things I'm doing is I'm figuring out exactly what are the factors holding them back, and then we're doing exercises specifically designed to work and hone in and isolate those particular sticking points. Speaking of isolating your sticking point, I want to give you an interesting case study. One of my assistants, I asked him what was his biggest thing that he did to make his game better, and he actually said going online. And his reason for that was that if you go out and you meet girls in person, there's a lot of time lapse and lag between getting numbers, following up, all that kind of stuff, and you don't get as many reps. Whereas if you go online, you can get rep after rep after rep very, very, very quickly. And so you can hone in on your text game, a lot of your verbals, you can hone in on your dating game a lot faster through that means. And actually this is something I've recommended to a lot of students, right? A lot of guys have issues with text game, follow-up, dating, that kind of stuff. Like they can meet a girl, they can do well in person, but that's the issue. Going online can get you tons and tons of reps really, really quickly, and instead of taking months or years to blow through that sticking point, maybe you can handle it in a matter of weeks, all right? The other thing you can do on top of that, which my assistant also mentioned as a great thing that he did, is find, and this is actually tip number 3, find people better than you. Okay, find people better than you. This seems a little obvious, right? People better than you can help you through your sticking point. Hey, I'm having trouble with this, how do I handle it? Hey, I'm having trouble with this, how do I handle it? And that's very true. However, the true value of being around people better than you is much greater than that. One part of it is just kind of absorbing being around them and seeing their attitude, seeing their vibes, seeing how they handle certain situations that they're not even giving advice on, seeing all the things that maybe they don't even notice that they're doing. But even more than that, the biggest reason why getting around someone better than you can be helpful is that if you're asking the right questions, you'll probably eventually end up with the right solutions. But most guys in game aren't even asking the right questions. How do I know this? Because whenever I'm with students, I get a lot of questions that are actually unanswerable. Okay, and the reason they're unanswerable is because the student is not giving me the relevant information. So they'll say, hey, I was out there with this girl, this, and this happened, what should I do? And I'm like, I can't tell you because you didn't tell me the right information. You told me all these extra facts that don't matter. You didn't tell me the fact that matters. The fact that matters is this. If you tell me that, I can give you an answer, right? And so the problem with the student wasn't that he was not coming up with the answer the right way. It's that he wasn't even asking the right question, or he wasn't even looking at the relevant data in formulating the question. And that's when you're really stuck, right? If you're not even asking the right question, that's when you're stuck, and that's when you're not gonna make progress for months or even years, okay? So someone better than you can help you with answering your questions, but more to the point, they can help you to ask the right questions, and that's truly the most important thing you can do to move forward in your understanding and your development of game. Okay, so those are the 3 tips that you can do in terms of practice to get your results up the absolute fastest. And the thing is, they seem really obvious, but most guys aren't doing them. But the reason I know this, because I see guys practicing wrong, and because I see guys not getting results for months and years. I'm gonna throw in one bonus tip for you though, and this is more of an inner game tip. It's more of, it's not gonna help you do things like improve faster, but it's gonna keep you from not improving faster, if that makes sense. And this one is check your ego at the door, all right? Don't ever get the feeling that you absolutely know something. As you learn in game, there are gonna be certain things that'll work for you to a point, or that seem to work for you to a point, and you're gonna attach and be like, okay, that's my technique, that's my thing, that's my method. And you're gonna think, okay, I got this handled. And then you're gonna keep doing it over and over and over and over again. And the fact of the matter is, sometimes that's not what's working, but you're succeeding in spite of it. Or sometimes that's what's working on the 6s and 7s, but it won't work on the 9s and 10s. And as soon as you get an ego about it, as soon as you start to think, this is my method, this is my game, this is the thing I've handled, I'm good and I don't wanna take a step backwards, that's when you're going to stagnate. In fact, a lot of guys, what I've seen is they get kind of to intermediate level of game, and they're around a bunch of friends that aren't as good at them, as good as them, and they start teaching them. And as soon as they start teaching, they start to become very rigid, and this is what's right because this is what I'm teaching, right? And at that moment, they stop progressing, and they just stay at intermediate for months, years, or forever, which is truly, truly tragic, okay? So question your assumptions, don't take things for granted, and leave your ego at the door. Treat yourself as though you're always a beginner. It's always kind of an evaluative process. It's always a growth process, and you can always learn more. As soon as you think you know it all, that's when you're gonna stop improving.